We've studied the tabernacle as a triune building, or a triune edifice or construction. The outer court, the holy place, the Holy of Holies. We've compared this to the nature of man, spirit, soul, and body. Our destination is there. We start here at the outer gate, the east, with its 4 pillars, which we have likened to the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 aspects of Christ's person and nature: the lion, the servant, the man, the eagle, the Son of God. The first thing we come to is the great altar of brass with the blood sacrifice, 4 sides, typifying the cross in 4 aspects. The first side, the forgiveness of past sins. The second side, the dealing with sin as a spiritual power, putting away sin. Third side, the execution of the old man, the death of the rebel. The fourth side, the presentation of ourselves as a burnt offering to the Lord. Total surrender. We go on from the brazen altar to the brazen laver, which was made of brass, taken from the looking glasses of the Israelitish women, typifying the place of the Word of God. First of all, as a mirror showing us our true inner nature. In brass, the means of our judgment of ourselves. If we would judge ourselves, we would not be judged of God. And the water, the cleansing, sanctifying operation of God's Word. Both are essential. We sum these up, 1 John 5:6. Jesus came by water and by blood. Not by water only, but by water and by blood. And it is the Spirit that bears witness. When we come to this area, we have the witness of the Spirit. To the blood shed on the cross, to the water of the Word. Jesus is the Redeemer who died in our place on the cross, shed His blood. He's the teacher who cleanses and sanctifies those whom He has redeemed. Ephesians 5, that He might cleanse and sanctify the church with the washing of water by the Word, that He might present it to Himself a glorious church. It is very clear that if we are to be in that company which is to be presented to Jesus as a glorious church, we must be cleansed and sanctified with the washing of water by the Word. To be redeemed by the blood is essential but not sufficient. We go on from here into the holy place, the first of the 2 inner areas, through the 5 pillars which I've likened to the 5 ministries of Jesus: apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, which are the ministries that operate within this area. We have the 3 patterns of the showbread representing the will set out before God, ground, molded, baked, displayed, sanctified, protected, and ordered. That's your will. You could do well to ponder over that. We'll not go into it now. The candlesticks, the source of light, your intellect. You must be renewed in the spirit of your mind. The old worldly ways and thoughts must be purged away. The pure oil of the Holy Spirit must come in His 7-fold manifestation. Being kindled with the fire of dedication, it illuminates your inner being. And when your will and your intellect have been brought into line, you move on to the golden altar of incense, which typifies your emotions. They must be purified, controlled, directed, offered up to God in dedication and worship as a sweet savor. And at this point we come to the dividing line between the holy place of the soul, the Holy of Holies of the Spirit. The transition is made by the blood from the sacrifice and the incense from the altar. We go in through the blood of the cross with the incense of adoration, praise, and worship. There is no other way in through the veil. Those that do not know how to worship have no access beyond the holy place. We come here where there are 2 items of furniture: the ark that typifies Christ the mercy seat that typifies the atonement of Christ, but also the throne of God. In the ark, there were the 2 tables of stone of the 10 Commandments, the golden pot with manna, and Aaron's rod that budded. The tables of stone typifying God's eternal, unchanging law, to which we bow in worship and submission as we enter. The golden pot of manna signifying our fellowship, feeding upon Christ in the heart. He that eateth me shall live by me, Jesus said. Let me point out, which I didn't say, that the 3 entrances typify the 3 aspects of Jesus: the way, the truth, and the light. And here he is, the light. Christ is our light. What a wonderful statement that is in Colossians 3. Ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our light, shall appear, then the pot of manna will be taken out of the ark. It won't be the hidden secret communion, but the open revelation of Christ. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, be seen, then shall ye also appear with him in glory. The third thing in the ark is the Aaron's rod, type of authority, comes by divine revelation and attestation, setting apart Aaron as the appointed priest. So the 3 activities of the Spirit in relationship to God in the Holy of Holies are worship, fellowship, and revelation. And revelation comes by the root of worship and fellowship. Beware of revelation that does not come through worship and fellowship. Then the mercy seat again brings forth the same 2 truths. On either end of the mercy seat with the 2 cherubs, so the 2 cherubim turned inward towards each other, their wings extended over the mercy seat, meeting tip to tip in the middle. Their bowed bodies, their extended wings signifying worship. Their faces toward one another and toward the mercy seat, signifying fellowship, face-to-face encounter. And there is the place of revelation. God said to Moses, when everything has been ordered exactly right from here to here, and when the blood is sprinkled, then I will appear to you over the mercy seat, under the wings of the cherubim. The Shekinah glory will come in, and there I will speak to you and commune with you. Worship, fellowship, revelation. Now let's look at the 4 chief requirements. What does God expect of us in availing ourselves of what he's made available? Number 1, we better turn back to Hebrews that you see it. It's all in one verse. It's in verse 22 of chapter 10. Hebrews 10:22. Let us draw near with a true heart, in full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience, and our bodies washed with pure water. What does a true heart mean? I'm offering you my opinion. And the words I've taken are words that aren't often used by religious people. Sincerity, honesty, loyalty, total commitment, no reservations. That's a true heart. If I love my wife with a true heart, I love her totally. I will not in any circumstance contemplate anything that would be disloyal to her. I think a word we need to restore to religious people's vocabulary is the word loyalty. Loyalty has become square and old-fashioned among some people today. Loyalty to your family, loyalty to your country, loyalty to your government. I believe in loyalty. I don't have much time for a person who's disloyal. Charles Simpson and I were discussing this the other day. He said, what was it that made the Apostle John stand in front of the cross when all the other disciples had left by Mary's side? Was it theology? Not for a moment, friends. It was loyalty. What was it that got Mary Magdalene to the tomb in the early hours of the morning? Was that theology? Doctrine? No, loyalty. She was going to be loyal to that man, even if he was nothing but a brutally mutilated corpse. There isn't much loyalty amongst some believers. We have to be loyal to Jesus and loyal to one another. And that's a true heart. Sincerity. No honey. Remember what I said about honey? You can't put honey on the offerings of the Lord made by fire because it turns into a black, sticky mess. Let's look at some scriptures for a moment. Psalm 51. I think people that come to my wife and me for counseling get to know one thing. If you don't want to know what we really think, don't come. I believe we ought to be honest with one another. It says speaking the truth in love, not cutting people down. Psalm 51, verse 6 through 10. Behold, David made a discovery. The word behold is romantic. He'd been religious a long while. Now he made a discovery. Thou desirest truth in the inward part, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. I believe they go together. You don't know the hidden wisdom till you have truth in the inward part. The revelation of the hidden wisdom is to the sincere, true, honest heart, not to the mind. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. To me, that's a revelation. When sin has had its way in your heart, it can't be patched up, repaired, or modified. It takes a creative act of God to give you a clean heart. And that's what every one of us needs. A clean heart. Truth in the inward part. Sincerity. Honesty. Say with your mouth what you have in your heart. Psalm 139. That means you've got to have the right thing in your heart. Otherwise it's going to be embarrassing. The last two verses of Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24. David is talking about God's enemies. I have to go into the previous two verses to get the comments. Do not I hate them, O Lord, which hate thee? Am not I grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. I ask people, is it right for a Christian to say that? Some people say yes, some people say no. I say, look in the next verse and see where David was looking for God's enemies. Search me, O Lord. Do I have a fifth column inside me? Is there something inside me that's an enemy of God? I tell people in deliverance, God will not deliver you from your friends. But you make your friends your enemies and God will get them out. A young man said to me once, he said, Brother Prince, I think I have a demon of lust. But he said, I'd rather enjoy it. You think God will deliver me? I said, definitely not. Why should he take your friends out of you? But when you make them your enemies, then God will move. So David, he wasn't talking about other people. He said, search me, O God. See if there's something inside me that's on the wrong side, that's opposed to you. I hate anything that's against God. Can you say that? Can you really say it? You have to take sides. There's no neutrality. All right, we read these verses now. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. Do you invite God to do that? Are you afraid to do that? Don't be afraid. I tell people when it comes to confession, remember, you're not going to confess anything God doesn't know already. You not tell him anything that will surprise him. It's for your sake, not his. And see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. I do believe before God can lead us in this way, which is the everlasting way, we have to let him search and try our hearts. Root out any fifth columnist, any of God's enemies lurking there. Lay bare our hearts. Jeremiah 17. You say, Brother Prince, there's nothing wrong with my heart. I'm all right. I say, how do you know? There's only one person that can see into your heart, and that's not you. Jeremiah 17:9, and the heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Not Brother Prince's heart, but the heart, the human heart, your heart, my heart. deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. In 1946, I sat in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, listened to the greatest expert on the Hebrew language lecture, and he chose that passage because of one word, the word that's translated deceitful, akol, which is the same word that gives us the name Jacob, Yaakov, because Jacob was a supplanter. He was a tricky fellow. And oh, how that word opened up to me. It's found in Isaiah 40, make the crooked place straight. It's found in Hosea 6, I believe, where it says, Gilead is a city polluted with blood. That's the same word. And what this professor said, he said one thing. He said, because of the way the feminine of the adjective is formed, we know it's not passive, it's active. Your heart is actively deceitful. So don't ask it for the truth. He said, it's like a shield in front of your heart. You take away one shield, you find another shield. You take away that shield, and there's another. And he said, you never know when you've taken the last shield away. It was remarkable, because though he was professing Jew, he wasn't religious, he didn't make any profession of faith, whatever. But simply by the exposition of that word, he laid bare to me something that I've never forgotten. The heart is deceitful above all things. The most deceitful thing in the world is the human heart. And furthermore, it's incurably sick. Desperately wicked, better translated incurably sick. And elsewhere, Jeremiah says, thou hast no healing medicine. You don't have any medicine to heal your heart. Who can know it? First, then, I, the Lord, search the heart. Let God show you what's in your heart. And then let Him deal with it. Lay it bare to Him. Say, search me, O God. Try me out. I'm not afraid to say that. I don't believe I could be more embarrassed than I have been. I was talking to Brother Mumford after the deliverance service. I said, some people are surprised when they see a young man who's been used of God to bring thousands of people to the Lord, writhing on the floor, twisting. Doesn't surprise me the least. Almost everything I've cast out of other people, I got rid of myself first. And I was a Pentecostal preacher at that time, let me tell you. Doesn't fit in with your theology. You just have to change your theology. People say a Christian can't have demons. You ever heard anybody say that? Well, let me tell you a little parable. I won't even bother to interpret it. But I lived for 5 years in East Africa and traveled several times between Kenya and Tanzania, which was then Tanganyika. And just in the northern end of Tanganyika, or Tanzania, is the most beautiful mountain, Kilimanjaro, which is snow-capped. I wonder if any of you have ever seen Kilimanjaro. It's the most beautiful sight. See the rays of the tropical sun glittering off that snow-capped mountain. Well, the first missionary to East Africa was a German named Kratz. Wandered around, incidentally, in a rather disarming way with no weapon but an umbrella, which he carried to shelter himself from the rain and the heat, and slept under at night. And he discovered Kilimanjaro, reported in his journals that there was a snow-covered mountain just a few miles south of the equator. When the journals reached Britain, some experts wrote a book to prove that there couldn't be a snow-covered mountain that close to the equator. Now you see the application. All right, Isaiah 29, verses 13 and 14. Wherefore the Lord said, forasmuch as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precepts of men. That's religion. Honors God with the lips, but its heart is far from it. And it's all what people say I should do. Fear taught by the precepts of men. And if you're a Mennonite, you act one way. And if you're Assemblies of God, you act another way. And if you're Catholic, you act a third way. But for many people, whether they're Catholic, Assembly of God, or Mennonite, it's a religious act. That's all it is. It shouldn't be necessary for you to change your whole way of behavior when you walk through the doors of the church. You find most religious people use even a different tone of voice inside the church. When they pray, it's in an artificial, false voice. The great sin of religious people was the one that Jesus dealt with most severely in the Pharisees, hypocrisy. And you know what hypocrisy is? It's the Greek word for an actor. Hypocrites is the Greek for an actor. And religion is essentially putting on an act. Depends what kind of religion you belong to, what kind of act you put on. Under ancient culture, for drama, there were certain masks, I think about 5 or 6. And every playwright had to write a play with that number of characters for that number of masks. And an actor, when he played his part, he didn't show his real face, he put on the mask. And that's exactly like religion. It's just a selection of masks. Which mask will you have? The Catholic mask? The Assemblies of God mask? The Methodist mask? And that's how you act while you're in church. And while you're saying all those nice things to God with your lips, your heart is far from Him. And God says, when people are like that, I'll judge them. I'll take away from the ability to see truth. I'm amazed at some people that can't see truth today. I could name groups, but I won't. And I understand the root cause is hypocrisy. And God removes from the hypocrite the ability to see the truth. Let me show you that. I'll read Isaiah 29, 13 and 14 again. For as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips to honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Don't drink, don't dance, don't smoke, don't go to the movies. That's the group I belonged to for years. But when the TV came out, it wasn't covered by all those precepts. So, it was wrong to go outside the home to see the murder thriller or the cowboys, but it was all right to get it inside your home, on the TV screen. Well, to me, that's nothing but plain hypocrisy. If it's bad outside, it's twice as bad inside. Is that right? Now, I was guilty of that myself. I lived under those rules for much longer than I care to think. But believe me, friends, I never intend to get back under a set of rules like that. Not even charismatic rules either. You know what some people have done? They've thrown out the Baptist rules and replaced them with charismatic rules. And charismatic rules are just as soul-destroying as Baptist rules or Catholic rules or any other rules. All right, we come to the point. Verse 14. Therefore, behold, because of this hypocrisy, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, the people of God. Even a marvelous work and a wonder. The language is as strong as God can make it. Something astonishing. The wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Have you known religious groups like that? I have. And I'm not thinking of the Roman Catholics, let me hasten to say. You know what I'm thinking about, to tell you the truth? It's the Pentecostals. Every religious group that's really had a message has added a story to God's building, the church. But almost invariably, the next thing they've done is put the roof on. So that's it. No more. And next time the wind of the Holy Spirit blows, you know the first thing it does? Blows the roof off. And you know the people who oppose most bitterly the building of the next story on top of theirs? The ones who built the previous story. Isn't that remarkable? I can understand it now, but a long while I couldn't understand. The people that spearheaded the last revival are the opponents of this one. Astonishing. Well, we must go on.